I recently took a break from the road and went on a cruise. And I think cruising out on that open sea can be a great way to take a break from cruising up and down that open road. But there was one drawback. In this video, I will explain how cruising can be a great complement to trucking, but it comes with a price. Hey everyone, I'm EJ Anderson, the Congressional Auditor turned long-haul truck blogger, also known as the happiest, kindest truck on the road. Welcome to White Glove Trucking, my channel dedicated to helping you use trucking as a vehicle to live your best life. By trucking independently, retire early. Okay, so I went on a cruise, you guys. It was great. I went on the Norwegian Aqua for 2 weeks, and I had an amazing time. And there are a couple of ways, actually 3 ways, that cruising really complements trucking. And so the first way is it's super social. Now, cruising is extremely social. It's literally the most social thing you can do. And it's really a nice break from the solitude of living in your truck full time. There is an instant sense of community you feel as soon as you step on board that ship. Everybody's open and you're just immediately surrounded by like thousands of your best friends. And so it's really easy to connect with people, like having really good connections, just like one after another, which is great after coming from the road where you spend a lot of time by yourself. The second aspect that makes cruising a nice complement to trucking is the fact that it's super luxurious. I mean, a cruise ship is essentially a big ass yacht. I mean, it's one you have to share with 1,000 other people, but it's still a yacht. And you got all types of food whenever you want. You got music and entertainment every night. And maybe that tiny little stateroom isn't luxurious to most people, but to us truckers, after being on the road and being in that sleeper every night, that room definitely feels luxurious to us, and we get to appreciate that room like nobody else. So the luxury experience of being on a cruise is a nice break from the sort of minimalist, camping-like environment you experience every day when you're trucking. And then there's one more positive thing that I want to highlight, and it's not about cruising per se, but it's kind of like what I experienced when I mixed trucking and cruising, right? So our cruise, this cruise, I did it in a way more relaxed way than I normally cruise, or that I have in the past. I'm already doing a lot of fun stuff and traveling all the time trucking. So when I was on that cruise, I didn't have that FOMO, that feeling of missing out. I didn't have that feeling of needing to make every moment count. And so I was able to savor that experience a lot more than I have in the past. And so then I kind of had this realization. I was like, when you cruise this way, it makes it to where not every cruise has to be epic. But over time, a life of trucking combined with cruising could make for an epic life. So I would definitely want to cruise more often, but it does come with a catch, and that catch is the hidden cost. Okay, so to figure out this hidden cost, let's compare 2 different vacations, right? One in a hotel and one on a cruise. Now, by far, the most common way that I take a break from the road is just getting a hotel in whatever city I just delivered to. Now, if I take 2 identical $1,000 vacations, right? One in a hotel, one in a cruise. Now, the hotel is a business expense that cost me $700, and the cruise is a personal expense that cost me $1,400. Same price tag, completely different real cost. All right, let's break it down. Okay, so first, there are 3 main ways that I get to save a lot of money by trucking and living on the road full time. Business deductions, save on salary or payroll taxes, and per diem. All right, let's look at these $1,000 vacation examples and see how this will work. Okay, as a trucker and owner-operator, living and working full-time on the road, almost everything I do is classified as a business expense that are tax deductible. In other words, normal life expenses become business expenses. All right, so if I take the average owner-operator income, right, which is $64,000, and the tax at that rate would be 22%. So that means for the hotel, I would deduct $1,000, saving me 22% or $220. And for the cruise, I would have to add 22% tax, which would add $220 to the price of that cruise. Now, that's the first one, business deductions. The second one, salary and payroll tax savings. Now, because cruising is considered a personal expense, and the reason it's personal is because the IRS rules regarding cruising is very, very strict, and it has to meet a lot of different qualifications for it to qualify as a business expense. So most likely, if you're on a cruise, it's going to be a personal expense. So because that cruise is a personal expense and not a business expense, I now have to pay for it with money from my personal account. And to fund that personal account, I need to pay myself a salary. Once I pay myself a salary, that triggers a 15.3% salary tax. So that's $153 that I also have to add to the cost of the cruise. And then the last way that trucking helps you save is by getting that trucker per diem, okay? Trucking per diem is $80 a day. Now we get to deduct 80% of that, which is $64 a day, right? So let's say this vacation was a 5-day vacation. So that's 64 times 5, that's $320. Now, if we take that 22% savings off that 320, we save another $70.40 on the hotel, and that's another $70.40 we have to add to the cost of the cruise. So when you add all this up, that $1,000 hotel vacation, that's business deductible, ends up costing $707.60. And that same $1,000 cruise, that's a personal expense, ends up costing $1,443.40. Even though both vacations, it would cost $1,000 up front, that cruise ends up costing twice as much as that hotel vacation. So yes, cruising is incredible. It really balances out the solitude of trucking, and it really sort of elevates the lifestyle of trucking if you're weaving it into your trucking lifestyle, right? But it just has that hidden cost to go with it. You know, this video was basically about the cruise and the hotel, but I just realized that I just laid out the secret sauce on why trucking is like the most powerful vehicle for living a life of travel and fun and adventure at a discount. So if you want to prioritize a life of traveling, fun, adventure, there's just basically no better way to do it than trucking. All right, that's it for this one, guys. Thanks for watching. See you on the next one.